everyone. This is Georgia with Georgia's Crafty Creations, and I'm excited today to bring you a project as part of Maymay Made It's design team. So what I thought I'd do for my first project with Maymay Made It is, since Christmas is less than 6 months away, I thought we'd start July out with a Christmas in July project. So what we're going to be making today is this cute little Christmas card with Merry Christmas inside. I've made a few samples of it. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you what we're going to use for this project. Now the stamp sets we're going to be using for Maymay Made It are, for the snowmen and the sentiment on front, we're going to be using the Snow Peeking stamp set. For our sentiment on the inside, we're going to be using Celebrate the Season. We're going to use the Merry Christmas. And then for our cute little wall here, we're going to be using a new set, the Patina set, and we're going to use this brick wall type stamp right there. So let's get started. Now what you'll need to cut for this project, you'll need a base. This is going to be an A2 size card. So I cut a piece of patterned Christmas paper, 4 1/4 by 11, which when folded, it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now this will be scored at 5 1/2, which I've already done. So we're going to set that aside till we're ready to assemble our card. You're also going to need 2 dark mats. These are cut at 4 and 5 1/4 inches. You'll need 2 white pieces cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then you want 1 piece of vellum cut at 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. I will put all the measurements down below and also on the blog over at maymay-made-it.com. Now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take one of our white pieces. Now you can do this in different ways. On this card where I have this cut out of the top piece, you could cut this on Cricut, you could cut it with a die, but I wanted to do it so people without machines would have an easy way to do it. So I'm going to take a stamping block. Now this stamping block is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And I'm just going to place it on my white card. And I like this one at an angle. It just gives it a little more character. And once I have that where I want it, I'm going to hold it down, and then I'm going to take a pen blade and I'm going to cut out a square. And then since I am right-handed, I have trouble cutting to the left side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure all my cuts were good. And that one needs a little more to it. So I'm going to just take where the line is. I'm going to go over it one more time just to finish the cut up. It just missed a couple spots. And that one's good. And that one's good. Then I'm going to flip my card around, and I'm going to take my block and line it up with those cuts. And I'm going to cut my 4th side of my square out, my rectangle. Now this piece that you're cutting out, you're going to want to hang on to it. We're going to need that in another step in a little bit. But for this piece, what we're going to do is you're going to put a piece of scrap paper or whatever underneath, something that you don't mind stamping up. And I've mounted my brick stamp onto my block here. Now we're going to be using Nuvo Hybrid ink pad. You can get this at Maymay Made It. And we're going to stamp up this front piece. And I'm going to set my ink pad there to where I can just do it. You just start stamping it. It can be haphazard. You want to try to keep it straight, and I always stamp it a few times so that we have some shadow pieces in there. And you don't have to worry about matching up. It can be just however you want to do it. It makes just a kind of distressed looking wall, which is kind of neat around the snowman. And you'll just want to keep doing that till you get it how you like it. Put a little more dark there, and a little more just right there. And that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to a little more here too. There we go. And that's all you have to do to make this little frame that goes around your snowmen. So I'm going to set that piece aside. We're going to move this. And we're going to grab our snowman stamps. And we're going to grab that little piece that you just cut out. Now I'm doing this with the Misty because I like to have it dark when I get it stamped, so I can cut it out and have a nice edge to it. But you want to make sure with your side snowmen, rather than stamping them clear to the edge and then cutting them out, you want to leave about 1/4 inch to give you room when you cut it out to attach it to your wall, because you're going to glue this part to the back of it. The same thing with your little guy. You want to leave a little space here. We're going to ink those up and get those stamped. And we're going to do them one more time just to make them nice and dark. Okay, then the next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to fussy cut your snowmen out. And like I said, do not cut right here at your lines. Cut out so you have a bit left over at both of them. Now I already have 2 cut out that are ready to go. So we're going to take our little snowmen and we're going to color them. You can do this one of a couple ways. One, you can just color it basic colors, or if you want to do alcohol markers, you can shade it. But I think I'm just going to color this one because it goes quicker, and then we'll get them put on our card. Okay, now with our snowmen, we're going to take them and put them onto our wall. Now you can place these wherever you want. If you like this one down low, this one to the side, but I kind of like them at the top and bottom. So I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided adhesive on this little piece that I kept to mount him with. And we're going to take him and slip him under and kind of move him, get him where I want him. And then I'm going to press down to adhere him. Then we're going to do the same thing with the little one. He's going to just be peeking out from behind this wall right here. Right like that. Then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab our Misty again. And I'm going to open that up. And we're going to take our Vellum and put it down in the Misty. I'm going to leave a little bit of room there. We're going to go ahead and lock that in. And then I'm going to set my snowmen on top of there to where I can take my sentiment, there's snow one like you, and slip it in there. Now this does not have to be straight. In fact, this one I think we're going to do a little angled. And then once we get our stamp there, we're going to lift that up. We're going to pull our wall out. Now we are going to emboss this, so you will need some clear embossing folder. And this one I'm going to ink up with some Fun Stampers Journey Huckleberry Fusion Blue ink. And you want to make sure and get plenty of ink on this so that the embossing powder will adhere. We're just going to press that down really well, which that looks good. I'm going to grab my... And I forgot to do my embossing buddy. You should do your embossing buddy so that you don't get excess powder on here. But since I didn't, we're going to go with it. Worst it can do is have a little sparkle like snow around it. Which actually I think it did pretty good. So I'm going to set that aside. We're going to need our Misty again, so we're going to keep that right there, and I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. And the reason I use blue ink and a clear embossing folder is I wanted blue embossing, but I don't have blue embossing folder. I got a little blue ink up there, but we're still going to use it and go with it. So the next thing you want to do, you're going to set that aside. You're going to get your other piece of white out, since we have the Misty out. You're going to take your Merry Christmas, and we're going to stamp that on the inside. Once again, if you want to angle it, which I think this one I will. No, I don't like that one angled. We're going to go ahead and try to do that straight. But once I close my Misty, I'll usually lift it up just to kind of look at my letters and see if I need to adjust them, which I do. I'm doing this upside down, so it's a little more challenging. But I'm doing that so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, that looks pretty good. And once again, we're going to ink this with the blue again. And we're going to ink that one more time. I want that just a little bit darker. There we go. Now we can assemble our cards. We're going to put the Misty out of the way for a moment. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your double-sided adhesive, or glue if you prefer glue, and you're going to just run it on the edge. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be putting more glue before you put it on your card. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit on my snowman. And then I'm going to take it, my sentiment, and I'm just going to take this and lay it down over top of my vellum. And you want to kind of smooth it straight so that nothing's bubbled up. And that looks pretty good. Then we're going to put adhesive on the back of this piece. I don't put any adhesive where you're going to see through this so it doesn't show through. And you're going to put it on one of your blue pieces. And that's pretty good. And then you're going to take this piece and mount it to the front of your card. I'm going to turn this one sideways so I can get a little bit, and I'm going to flip that over. I like that side better for the front. And we're going to have to go with that. And then we're going to take our sentiment and mount it to the other blue panel. And then we're going to put this on the inside. I really like putting something on the inside because it just gives it a nice finished look. And if you prefer a verse there, you could do that. But on the inside, I will turn it onto the upper part of the card and get it centered where I like it. And then I'll just fold the back of the card back down onto it. And that's kind of an easy way to get it lined up where you want it. And then the last thing we're going to do is going to take some little red gems and we're going to put them where the holly berries are on the snowman. Where it goes. Sometimes these tiny gems do not like to go where I want them to go. There we go. So there you go. If you like my card, like and subscribe below. And if you make this card, join us over on Maymay Made It on Facebook and show us what you make. And don't forget, Christmas really isn't that far away. It's not too early to get a jump start on your Christmas cards. Have a great day, everybody. Happy crafting!